I'm going to bang this any second.
Started recording.
You've started.
I've started recording.
Could we start? Right, well, good evening, slightly belatedly, to councillors and a councillor who is, for the purposes of this evening, a member of the public. Can I wish you all a happy new year? We'll crack straight on with apologies for absence, which I assume, have we had any from David?
No, I haven't. No.
Right, and so Councillor Fuller is absent, but no apologies. Representations from interested parties, none that I'm aware of. No. Takes us on to declarations of interest. By now, you must be familiar with it, so I shall simply ask, are there any disclosable pecuniary interests to declare? And if not, are there any other interests to declare? Minutes of the previous meeting held on the 4th of December have been circulated. Present were myself, Councillor Oakes, Councillor Humphreys, Councillor Chesser and Councillor Robinson. It appears to be the same group of people as are present tonight.
I propose them.
Proposed by Councillor Oakes N, seconded by Councillor Oakes S. All those in favour, please.
That sounds a bit dodgy.
This sounds dodgy to you.
Can I just consult with you a moment? Do you mind?
Councillor Chesser.
Well, I've just spotted these two because I'm watching the payroll of the school, but I don't work in the building, I don't have any connection.
You probably ought to just declare another interest in that case. Just to be on the safe side,
okay.
I think. Yeah. I think Councillor Chesser has just realised that there's a couple of matters that perhaps she may need to declare an interest in as a result of her involvement with the school. Let me just sign these. I should perhaps have simply said before we start that if my phone happens to ring, I'm going to end up suspending the meeting temporarily, unless I go and answer it because I'm on duty tonight. It did attempt to go during the last meeting, but by the time I tried to answer it, I don't know what happened to the signal, but I was talking happily into it, but nobody was responding, and it was a full set of signals. But anyway, this might in any event be a relatively quick meeting, looking at the paucity of applications before us. There are 4, and we're going to start, I suspect, with some trees in West Street.
This could be the Usain Bolt of all planning meetings. Here we go. That's all I'm going to put up. There's nothing else on the website. It's repolleting, so we're looking at tree husbandry. Nothing unusual. What to say?
No objection would, I suspect, be what we say.
To be honest, I don't think we ever has to mention the tree officer.
I don't even think we do. It's bearing in mind that it is re-pollarding trees, which is a matter of husbandry, which, according to our policy, would normally meet with no objection. And I can't even see any obvious reason why the tree officer is going to even look twice at this. So let us move swiftly on to 4 Wyatt Way and single-storey extension.
Right, okay. Wyatt Way off Perkins Williams Road. That's what it is. And the site plans are, that's the existing, and that's what's proposed. All I can say is, I couldn't find any reason to object to this at all.
No, I couldn't, because I could see my favourite thing in there. He's got a double garage in there.
Yes.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
I mean, parking's always the issue, but not necessarily Wyatt Way, for goodness sake.
No, but anyway,
I mean, that's miles away, really.
Yeah,
It's point of principle now, I think.
Yeah, no, fair dues. I always look at parking. But one reason I'm trying to keep this simple is because it is simple. I don't see any issue with this at all, personally. I don't know what anyone else wants to say.
I think everybody agrees with you, Councillor Oates. I mean, it is a single-storey extension as well, so that the issues that might conceivably have arisen had it been double-storey aren't there. The car parking issues addressed, and I suggest we move on with a no objection to this one as well.
Yeah, jolly good.
Well, we're halfway through them according to the list, so...
No, this is even better.
2 Churchill Walk.
Right?
It's not a problem.
It's a pre-up.
Right, it's a permitted development inquiry. It actually should have been sent to us. We can comment if we wish, and I don't know whether others have had a look at it as I have at 2 Churchill Walk. But in order to keep this meeting as short as possible, my recommendation is at the bottom, because it ain't an application.
Does anybody, I don't know where Churchill Walk is.
It's, isn't it,
Does anybody know?
I must admit, when I
Well,
looked at
there's
that
a
address, I
map.
thought, where on earth
Right.
is Churchill
Let's
Walk?
Google Earth.
I think
We're
it's probably
talking
next,
about something we don't even know where
it's
it
probably
is.
next to Winston Way. No, but quite seriously,
It would
I
seem,
mean, it's not a planning application, full stop.
therefore, it's a matter for no comment rather than anything else.
Absolutely.
Though, as a matter of interest, I would be fascinated just to discover why I don't know where Churchill Walk is.
Oh,
kind
yeah. Well, if only
It's there.
you
It's
thought
here,
you'd
it's there.
asked
Clear
that
as day,
question.
but which one is it? Where is it?
Richmond
Is it-
Estate.
Wondering if it's
Oh,
part of that
dear.
new development off Herne Road
I
somewhere.
think it's at that.
it is.
I think it must be
Oh,
there.
it's in
It's
the
part of
It's-
it's part of that Herne Road.
Home
development.
Road. Ah,
It's up there. I
Old
don't know.
School Avenue, I think,
Yeah,
then it goes
okay.
round
And they're
forward.
big houses.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can see.
But look,
Back of the co-op.
for me, it's been very interesting. This is the second PDE I've dealt with in about 9 years of doing this.
okay.
Permitted
Thank
development
you.
inquiry just simply means that they're asking, under the new regulations, as whether we're allowed to do this. That's
Right.
it.
Well, we've noted it, we make no comment. That would
Next.
seem to take us on to Fairline, a 3-storey temporary office block.
We've
I
already
always
had-
worry about the word temporary in a planning context.
Well, can I just say,
Three stories.
can I just say, Councillor, that I agree with you. The words temporary always worry me. But basically, we've actually seen this before. I won't go into any detail. Here's an illustration. It's on the industrial park. What's there to say?
Well, I'll tell you what there is to say.
Go on.
Go back to your last picture. Look at Councillor Robinson's favourite topic, and how many car parking spaces
do you
have they
know,
taken
you
away?
beat me to it.
Yeah. So 2 for us.
I think they've taken up. I think
20
they've taken up about 8.
I think there's about 20 there myself.
So where's this? Is it going with the yellow?
Workers
yellow
in
bit?
3 stories, it's going to be more than half a dozen workers, isn't it?
Yeah, well, well,
Just-
okay.
Councillor Oates.
One can get picky about this, but.
Just to say, as I go to the gym, and the parking there is diabolical at the moment anyway.
Yeah.
It's going to get even worse.
And it's very congested all around that area, that East Road. They're all
That's all,
parking
yeah,
in
that's all I would say.
long stay car park and...
The Fairline
yeah.
people always use we've had
Yeah.
loads of complaints about them using East Road car
That's
park
right.
rather than
Yeah,
their own
so
car
it's the
park.
park, it is the parking.
Yeah.
I've not been able sometimes to get to the gym because of a lorry and loads of cars and vans parked on one side.
Yeah,
And I've been in and I've told them at the gym and they know and they say, don't know what to do. So just an observation that that's going to...
I did find out over the Christmas period that when Fairline built their offices there, they on purpose only put car parking spaces in for 2/3 of their staff. The instruction for the rest of the staff was to come in on bicycles or walk. So we know that there is a problem on parking in the estate. So if they're taking out that number, and I don't know, you can count it better as you get closer, but there's a lot of car parking spaces taken out. So we'd say that if we accept it, it's on the basis that they replace the car parking spaces. They find somewhere else on their site to replace those parking spaces.
Yeah.
Well, doesn't it go further than that? Because not only do you need to replace the parking spaces,
You've got
in which
additional
you build,
people.
but if you've got more people there with more vehicles, surely you're going to actually have to add to the parking.
Yes.
The other thing that worries me, and I don't know whether it is there, because I must admit I haven't had an opportunity to look at this application, is whether there's any indication on the paperwork as to what temporary actually does mean in this case. I mean, is it there for 12 months? Is it 2 years? Is it 5 years? Is there any indication? Because it would be not unreasonable, in the absence of an indication, for us, if we were to say that we didn't have an objection, that nevertheless we would want it limited to X period of time. However, I'm rather getting the impression that we've got worries about this and might actually want to object to
There
it.
are many buildings in this country that were put up temporarily, that are now part of the landscape, and continue to be. And I think it's a really valid point. I mean, if that is if the picture that Neville showed us was of the sort of structure, it looks, as you say, it looks pretty permanent and will become more and more so the more it's used. So parking and permanence, I think, are two key questions to it.
And they've already eradicated trees, have they not?
No, this is no, not them. Give them to you.
This is
No,
further down.
it's PGR that does that.
That's PGR.
Right.
Yeah. So I think we want to encourage employment in the town. You know, we want to support support Fairline, but we would like them, you know, to address this parking
They
issue.
have
If we were to
responsibility
say-
too, don't they? They have, as employees, they have a responsibility to the town.
But why don't we respond in these terms or along these lines? We have no objections subject to A, the developer ensuring that all parking places taken up by the development are replaced elsewhere within the business park, and B, that sufficient additional parking is provided for the office accommodation under development, and that C, the District Council imposes a time limitation by which the structure must be removed. I wouldn't want to suggest a time period because there are obviously commercial considerations which I'm not aware of, and it might make it unviable if it was only going to be a short period, but rather like Councillor Humphreys, I'm conscious of the fact that they built prefabs after the war, which were supposed to be there for sort of 5 years or whatever, and 50 years later they were still there in some cases.
Well,
So
London Eye was a temporary.
Yeah.
It was, wasn't it?
it was. I mean, that might be argued that in some respects that has turned out to be something of a tourist attraction for many, many years and so on, but it's arguably not the most lovesome thing in the world.
As was the O2 Arena, in fact.
Yes,
A temporary structure.
another temporary structure.
So I you know, personally, I think that my objection to the temporary nature of the building is not the fact the word temporary. It is the construction materials of it and its appearance. Because if they put an application in for a permanent three-storey building, you know, our discussion would be about parking, you know, and then they'd carry on with the building forever. So temporary seems to be, you know, permission to put up ugly buildings.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, you know, if it was a permanent three-storey building, you know, we'd have exactly the same conversation. You know, so it's not the length of time that something's on the site for, it is the appearance of the thing they're putting on the site, isn't it?
There's
And then because-
a way of getting around planning.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. There is an implication about the temporary, and it's.
Yeah. I mean, I'm less worried actually about the appearance because of where it actually is than I would be if it were in certain other locations. But if other councillors have a concern about the visual appearance of the thing as well, although it's arguably not normally a planning issue, I suspect that with a temporary structure, it is reasonable to query exactly how this thing would be constructed, and to ensure that it was at least compatible with all other buildings within the business park. But I think the first 3 points I suggested are arguably slightly more important than the fourth, but if others disagree and feel that that should be part of the response, I'm quite open to it. And Councillor Robinson obviously is.
Yeah.
Does anybody else feel that we
I
should
agree
be
with
making
that. I agree.
points about the
I
construction?
think it's a sort of a backdoor entry into something.
Right, so not
But it does
only...
tie into the time period, so
Yeah.
the two are connected.
So we say that it needs to have a final period as it is described as temporary, but notwithstanding the temporary nature of the building, its construction should not be incompatible with other structures on the business park. Words to that general effect?
Yes.
You see, it could be temporary as a way of getting around having to provide enough parking.
Yes.
I think
You know, well, it's not going to be up here
Yeah.
long. We know we're overcrowded, but
yes.
No, I think it's probably a cash flow and cost issue.
do you?
They can put this sort of stuff up, because they'll buy these off the old construction companies. Down the A14, there's probably a whole load of them up there. So, and then you get into the next issue is that it's possibly not thermally lined properly. So because it's temporary, they don't have to comply with all the thermal lagging regulations.
No, but if it's going to have employees in it, it would have to be compatible with
Well, it
health and
would.
safety
Oh, the
legislation of that nature.
Yeah, they have lots of electric heaters in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what you're worried about is that the heating probably leaks out, so they have to have it blasting away all the time.
And that's why your point about
eco-friendly.
that's your point about timescale on it. Then,
Yeah.
if it isn't compliant with the latest regulations on eco requirements, then it's a bad idea. Okay.
Yeah. Everybody happy with that? Well, unless you conjure up any more applications other than the ones that were on the agenda, that completes all the applications on the agenda itself. Councillors will note that on our agenda there is a list of planning outcomes where the word granted appears on every single occasion. Doesn't particularly surprise. There are no planning appeals. Incredibly, within something like 20 minutes, we've now reached any other relevant matters for report only, starting at the end with a slightly battered councillor.
I didn't
Well,
do it.
yes. I had an argument with the door jam.
I think the door seems to have won fairly comprehensively, councillor.
No, I just make an observation about an application that my company before us, about 62 Bennyfield Road, where there was a proposition to put in 2 houses and 2 bungalows. That's actually been withdrawn. So that's why it wouldn't be and shouldn't be on our agenda. But it's likely to come, at some point. The other one is...
Has anyone had through their door a leaflet advertising a house in, I think it's Siddons Close?
Yeah.
Sorry, I've had this bug, so it's not working, Siddons Close, which is being used as a shop.
Munton.
Oh, I saw that.
And
Yes,
grocery
Glad you
and...
brought that up. Pop-up shop.
It's a caravan. Oh, well, I've not...
Trailer.
Because I've not been well, I wanted to go along and just have a look.
Yeah.
So I was just going to comment on that, because it's a trailer there, isn't it?
Yeah, so I have been and seen it.
Yeah.
I have spoken to the man,
So what...
and
Is it all...
We had a complaint because the lady, he parked it outside of her house and the generator was going all day.
Oh, God.
So she made a complaint and spoke to Tony about it, and he popped up there straight away. The chap did give us the impression that he would be moving it about and it wouldn't just be in situ. And then I spoke to planning and they said that he has got his bits and pieces in place. They have spoken to him, but they said that they were under the impression he would be moving around, he wouldn't be keeping it in.
That's okay.
So they were going to look into it further, and apparently I've been told that it's not there all the time now, he does move about.
Okay.
So,
Well, it just looked a bit strange when it came
mm.
through the door. I thought, how can you do that?
Yeah, so he has told the NC
Mm.
that he's not trading from his house.
Okay.
He's storing it there.
Okay.
So if we know he is trading from his house, we need to go back to
Yeah,
ENC.
that's how it read to me. That
Yeah,
it
no,
was
he's
going
not
to be
trading,
like a
he's
local shop.
actually in there, because I bought a loaf of bread on him
Oh, yeah.
as an investigation.
Yeah.
So to see how it was and asked him about it. And what he's actually doing, what he told me, is in the summertime, or from spring onwards, he uses the same van, trailer, as he goes to festivals, 40s and 50s revival
Oh,
festivals.
right.
And he does wartime food
Right, okay.
for these festivals.
Is that
So
real?
I thought it would be, presumably it will be gone in
Yeah.
October.
But no, if he's trading from there, we need to stop him.
Well,
There isn't space for customers to park
No,
anywhere near
I
it.
keep going back to parking again,
Yeah.
and more just
So he shouldn't be.
annoyance to neighbours.
he hasn't
And
got
it is a residential area, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's
Yes,
not
I'm
somewhere
sure there
from
has
which
to
they
be
should be
some
trading.
kind
so-
of permit
Well,
situation.
I'm grateful to councillors for drawing that to my attention. I wasn't aware of it until now. I do think that as a council we need to monitor that, and if there are any causes for concern, please ensure that Lisa is told about it, and she will immediately contact ENC on our behalf and see whether we can, if appropriate, get it stopped, because it shouldn't really be happening like that, I don't think. Right, thank you. Councillor Humphreys?
Nothing.
Councillor
I
Roberts?
just need a question. Did Just Let's make an application to us for their shop front?
No, I've not seen anything.
So Just Let's have had it all boarded up whilst they're doing their new shop front. I didn't remember seeing anything. And then having seen the air ambulance people who were asking planning permission for some stickers in their windows, it just seemed a bit
No,
odd that they...
yeah, not just those as well, but we didn't see anything for the Greedy Piglet, as far as I'm aware.
No, people are just
Or I noticed as well, the RSPCA shop has now got a sideways sign, swinging sign.
I
hanging up.
can
We've
tell
not-
you a bit more about that.
Right,
I've
well,
heard about that.
dealing with the, let's leave the sign for a second, dealing with the two shop fronts, some of us who've been on this council a fair old while will remember the agonising that went on over issues around shop fronts and trying to get the planning guidance. It was a supplementary planning document, an SPD as I recall, about shop fronts, which so far as I'm aware is still in place.
Hasn't been changed.
And therefore, if any of these things run counter to that SPD, then it might be an issue for enforcement, though it sounds horribly like 15 West Street all over again. But I think perhaps we should draw it to the attention of the NC. If they're satisfied with it, so be it. But it does strike me that they probably should have come before us, and we may very well have had a view. Councillor Oates.
I think the classic case is the place next to Hunt and Coombs, which is actually was ENC's place is now the festival thing, and they put up a plastic sign there which was totally against the kind of advice that we would have given. I'll leave it there.
Well, Councillor Oates has mentioned signs, you mentioned signs, so let's just go back to that.
Well, yeah, because the sign people, company who'd come, I forget where, somewhere else in the county, were happily drilling holes into the listed building in the middle of the marketplace there. So I approached them, and they hadn't got planning permission. They made out they didn't even know they should have to have such a thing. And I said, well, I'm watching what you're doing. It was all very nice. I mean, it wasn't a row or anything. They were absolutely bowing and scraping by the time I finished with thank you so much for telling me, because I pointed out that they would have to take it all off again. They were putting more metal, wanting to put more metal letters up, like the estate agents. And I said, but they had actually gone to planning. even though they weren't doing that properly either, because the rule is, I've looked into it, is that if you're doing it on a listed building or on a stone building, it has to be into the mortar, it must not be into the stone. So they were there with their big drills drilling away. So in the end, they said, what about this? There is a bracket already. So I said, well, as far as I could see then, since there was a bracket, they could hang something on the bracket, as long as it wasn't lit up or electrified. I think I'm right. But I told them to come, did they come and see you?
No, not heard anything.
Well, they may have gone straight to planning in the district.
Yeah.
They certainly didn't carry on.
Right.
They packed up and saying, thank you very
I
much.
think perhaps we should just contact ENC in
Yeah,
that case.
that's
Ask them if they're aware,
Of any
was
of
any
them.
permission
Yes,
required, and if so, was it sought? Because
certainly
it doesn't
permission would be
because it doesn't
required.
seem to have come before us.
Yeah.
Okay.
They were, as I say, they were not obstructing
No.
in the least. They were.
That's
We
right.
seem to have
But
spent-
I think the issue was really, if I go back simply, when we looked at the Sean Quilly signage, is that it just replaced something that was already there.
Well, it wasn't using the same holes.
Oh,
Although they said in their application it would be, of course it wasn't, because they're different letters.
Well,
Anybody could work that out.
we didn't have the technical information at the time when we looked at this.
We did, because I raised it, I'd already asked about that. Yeah, but they had gone to planning at least, so it was down to
Slightly
the
different scenario.
inspectors.
Right. Well, we probably spent as long on those issues as we did on the actual applications, but unless there is anything else, and I have nothing further to add, at 8:30 we'll close the meeting.
Well done.